This video of the lunar landing on July 20th, 1969 is probably one of the most famous and remarkable shots ever taken. And ever since the last time that astronauts visited the moon, just 3 years later, in 1972, the question of when will humanity come back to our nearest celestial object remains unanswered. However, NASA and the Artemis I program might finally answer that question, and the first major step in this journey will hopefully take place after at least 16 delays on August 29, 2022. Artemis I, formerly known as Exploration Mission 1, but smartly renamed after Apollo's twin sister Artemis, is the first uncrewed test flight of the program, which, following in the steps of the Apollo program, is intended to land humans on the moon again and push the limits of human spaceflight to completely new boundaries. It will assist in the construction of a space station orbiting the moon, a permanent lunar base, and support the first crewed mission to Mars. The backbone of this system is the Space Launch System, or SLS, a super heavy lift expendable launch vehicle intended to be NASA's successor of the Space Shuttle and to replace the cancelled launch vehicles of the Constellation program, Ares-1 and Ares-5. It is the most powerful rocket ever built, even more powerful than the legendary Saturn V. It is a massive vehicle measuring 111 meters tall and capable of producing 8.8 million pounds of thrust. It will be divided into two stages. The core stage, consisting of 4 liquid propellant RS-25 engines and 2 solid fuel boosters, both of them inherited from the Space Shuttle program, which together will accelerate the whole system close to orbital velocity, and the upper stage, known as the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, which will propel the Orion spacecraft together with other 10 CubeSat satellites to up to 40,000 km per hour. These CubeSats will run various types of scientific experiments, from determining the impact of deep space radiation in yeast cells to recollecting additional evidence of lunar water ice from low lunar orbit, and even proof testing a controllable low-cost solar sail spacecraft currently planned to target the near-Earth asteroid 2020 GE. However, the crown jewel of this stage is the Orion Multi-Purpose Crew Vehicle, a partially reusable crewed spacecraft consisting of the Crew Module Space Capsule designed by Lockheed Martin and the European Service Module manufactured by Airbus. With a distinctive X-wing solar panel configuration, it is capable of powering various computers and experiments while transporting 6 astronauts beyond low Earth orbit for up to 21 days. It has an automated docking system and even a glass cockpit modeled after those used in the Boeing 787 Dreamliner jet. For propulsion, the Orion spacecraft has a single AJ-10 engine as primary propulsion system, 8 R4D11 engines, and 6 pods for its action control system, which will help it maneuver around the dark side of the moon and then propel the spacecraft back home. On its way back, the spacecraft will need to adjust to a precise re-entry angle, or else it could either explode due to extreme heat and friction with the atmosphere or bounce away back into space. Once close to Earth, the spacecraft will separate from its service module and deaccelerate using its heat shields before its final descent into the Pacific Ocean, assisted by its 11 custom-designed parachutes. One of the most important objectives of this mission is to measure the impact of deep space radiation. It is intended to fly out of the Earth's protective magnetic field, which means that the spacecraft will be exposed to much larger amounts of radiation than in low Earth orbit. It won't have any living astronauts on board. However, it will have 5 distinctive passengers: Captain Monikin Campos and 2 phantoms in the shape of human torsos, which will be used for testing the impact of deep space travel on the human body, as well as Shaun the Sheep and even Snoopy, who was a NASA mascot during the times of the Apollo program. Since future missions will have both male and female astronauts, the Phantoms, one dressed up with a protective suit and the other without it for comparison, will have female-shaped torsos containing synthetic organs packed with hundreds of radiation detectors, while Monique and Campos will be dressed up with the Orion Crew Survival System suit, which future human astronauts will be using during the launch and re-entry phases. If this mission is successful, new and more exciting missions will follow. First, in 2024, just 2 years from now, a crewed moon flyby mission will carry 4 astronauts, which will go further than any other crewed mission in human history. And 1 year later, if everything goes as planned, the next mission with 4 more astronauts will be sent to lunar orbit, where 2 of them, the first woman and the first person of color, will go down and land at the lunar South Pole. In 2027, the International Habitation Model, or IHAB, will be launched into lunar orbit. This will be the main habitat module of the Lunar Gateway, a permanent space station that, just like the International Space Station that orbits the Earth today, will orbit the Moon, supporting future lunar missions and perhaps even other missions beyond. We'll cover more about this fantastic project in another video. Then, in 2028, the Artemis I will deliver the Lunar Terrain Vehicle, an unpressurized rover that will enable astronauts to drive on the Moon while wearing the spacesuits, as well as the Lunar Gateway airlock module. And shortly after, Artemis VII will deliver the Habitable Mobility Platform to the Moon's surface, the first step into the construction of a permanent lunar base in the Shackleton crater, which will provide the astronauts with a protective environment against solar radiation, as well as access to water and mineral resources. Up to 4 astronauts will be able to live in this base for several months at a time. In 2029, the Block 2 version of the Space Launch System will be launched, a vehicle powerful enough to send the Orion spacecraft beyond lunar orbit and into interplanetary space, working as a major stepping stone for the first crewed mission to the Red Planet at some point during the 2030s, preparing the ground for an eventual permanent base on Mars, and for the eventual development of the first permanent human base. Interplanetary travel will soon become a reality, and it is the first big step that Artemis I mission will take, launching from the Launch Complex 39B in the Kennedy Space Center, which was originally designed for the Saturn V launch vehicle and has now been adapted for the Artemis program. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. I'll be releasing new videos covering in more detail more aspects of the Artemis program, the Lunar Gateway, and several other topics related to our galaxy and deep space. Thank you for watching.